I, 51 female, have one son. I'll call him Dave for now. Dave is from my previous marriage. My ex-husband and I broke up because we were young and inexperienced. Either way, after a long period of not talking, we slowly repaired our relationship and remained friendly for Dave's sake. Both my ex-husband and I are remarried, and as odd as it sounds, we all get along. Me, my ex-husband, his wife, and my husband. They also have 2 more kids, tween, and I regularly give the older one guitar lessons. Dave moved away after deciding to go to university when he was 19, and after graduating, he decided to continue living further away from us. We keep in contact, but I see him a lot less often than I see my ex-husband's children. Dave's birthday is on the 26th of December, and up until he was 22, we usually got together and celebrated at my house. When he turned 22, he had a bad allergic reaction to something and the evening was pretty much over. After that, he had no interest in celebrating with us again, and for this year he's also announced that he's not going to celebrate his birthday, even though it's more significant since he's turning 25. I'm still getting him a present, but I respect that he wishes to spend his day alone or with friends. He then asked me what I would have planned for that day since it was still a holiday, and I explained that his dad and new wife would be coming over with the kids and we would have a little get-together. I joked that we'd be drinking champagne in his name and maybe even bake a cake. He didn't take that well. He didn't yell or get loud on the phone, but I could hear him mumble something along the lines of course you are," and then audibly just say, "Okay, have fun, Mom." That was 2 weeks ago. I've been waiting to hear from him since, and going this long without contact from him is weird, even if it's just a text or a phone call. Every time I tried to call him, it went to the voice message and it also replies with, "I'm busy." His dad hasn't heard anything either, but their relationship has been strained for a while. He hasn't texted his siblings either. I don't see how I'm in the wrong here since he openly stated he didn't want to celebrate his birthday. Am I the idiot for not spending my son's birthday with him? Edit, my son's allergic reaction came from my and my ex-husband's dogs, but he knew about them and never once told us to get rid of them. Every time my son comes over, I clean the house and wash everything and the dogs go into their room. My ex-husband's kids opened the door to that room on the evening of his birthday because it was a loud party downstairs. The dogs got excited and jumped around the table, and the hair caused the reaction. Usually he just sneezes, but this one was really bad. I didn't notice it because my son left when we realized what happened. We were all intoxicated by that point and it was chaotic. The OP's edit explains everything. The son is severely allergic to dogs. When he left home, the OP and stepfamily got dogs. For the son's 22nd birthday, OP put the dogs away and did a deep clean. But then OP and spouse got intoxicated and didn't control their kids from letting out the dogs. The son was physically ill and OP didn't even notice that he drove away. And what kind of consequences did the kids face? Probably none. Mystery solved. The new family has pushed him out, emotionally and with the dogs, and his own mother didn't stop it. You are the idiot. You got dogs that he's apparently extremely allergic to. You didn't board them for his birthday so he could celebrate it with you at home without a major allergy attack. It's incredibly clear why he hasn't been back and why he was and is upset. And then he asked what you're doing on his birthday and you said you're spending it with the kids who chased him away from his own birthday by causing an allergic reaction. This breaks my heart for the son. Irresponsible parenting all round. Oof, that feels like the minute he moved away, they were like, "Yay, he's gone, now we can have dogs." Do you even like your son? His half-siblings are more important to you than your first child. From your telling of the story alone, I can already feel the abandonment Dave is feeling. Seriously, you're going to get less and less responses out of him if you keep going on like this. I wonder if you actually want a relationship with him now he's moved out, or if it's too inconvenient for you to put the effort in. I, 32 male, have been married to my wife, 30 female, for 5 years. We've always had a strong relationship and I thought we were both pretty secure in it. I work at a mid-sized company and I've been there for about 6 years now. My wife works for the same company but in a different department. We don't work together directly, but we see each other around the office. A couple of weeks ago, I found out that a co-worker, let's call him Jake, has been hitting on my wife. I had no idea until my wife mentioned it to me one evening. She seemed uncomfortable but didn't really make a big deal of it at the time. Apparently, Jake has been sending her overly personal texts, complimenting her looks excessively, and even asking her out for drinks after work, which she turned down. When she told me about it, she seemed worried that it would escalate, and I could tell it made her feel really awkward. Now, I don't know if I overreacted, but I decided to confront Jake about it. I didn't want to make a scene, but I felt like it was necessary to put him in his place, and let him know that this behaviour was completely inappropriate, especially given that we're both married and I don't want anyone making my wife feel uncomfortable. I pulled Jake aside during lunch one day and told him that I was aware of what he'd been doing and that he needed to stop. I didn't yell or threaten him, I just clearly stated that his behaviour wasn't acceptable. He looked shocked and said I was overreacting and that it was just harmless flirting. I told him it wasn't harmless and that if it continued I'd have to escalate it to HR. After that conversation, Jake was distant with me at work, but it didn't stop there. A few days later, Jake started spreading rumours around the office about our conversation, and some people began whispering behind my back. A few of my co-workers have approached me asking what happened, and a couple of them even said I should have just let it go, saying I was being possessive and insecure. Now I feel like I've created a hostile work environment for myself and my wife, and people are starting to treat us differently. I'm even hearing from people I work closely with that they think I should have handled it more professionally. I'm now questioning if I was wrong for confronting him the way I did. I thought I was standing up for my wife and protecting our relationship, but now I feel like I've caused a huge mess at work. My wife feels guilty, even though I told her it's not her fault at all. She's more upset about the tension it's caused with my co-workers, but I don't regret confronting Jake. So, am I the idiot for confronting my co-worker and causing a rift at work, or should I have just let it go? Not the idiot. Go to HR, which you should have done from the jump. While not the idiot, you handled this poorly. Your wife needed to escalate this with your support to management and HR. You're getting second-hand info. I know it's your wife, but it needs to come directly from her to the higher-ups. Now you've made yourself the aggressor by confronting him and got the office rumour mill going on, a case of he said that he's already winning. You need to go to HR immediately. Why couldn't your wife shut this down herself without your involvement? While you were doing this out of husbandly concern, it's also a workplace and I think you should have stayed out of it. At home, possibly advise, meaning offering suggestions on wording to shut down wannabe Casanova. For reference, I worked in a predominantly male environment and have had my share of male attention, but I never needed someone to come handle it for me. This guy does seem like a real piece of work, and if your wife does have the text messages, etc., she should take the other posters' suggestions and go to HR with a plan. 6 months ago, I, 55 female, received a text from my daughter-in-law, Sherry, 25 female, asking me if I would like to have the makeup artist do my hair and makeup since she was booking it then. I told her I would have the lady who does my hair do my hair and makeup since she knows how to style my hair. She responded okay. The way Sherry plans their wedding is unconventional. My son is just going along because of how much he loves Sherry. They're skipping the ceremony and just eloping. They're also skipping the rehearsal dinner. They will have a reception where they're not accepting gifts other than cash, which I find tacky. The reception will be on New Year's Eve, so Sherry will also decorate the reception based on her superstitions. A money bowl and 12 round fruits. She's from Southeast Asia, and I honestly do not understand her culture. I feel like she's robbing my son of his experience of getting married. I relayed my concerns to my son, 29 male, which he shared with Sherry. I found this later. Well, yesterday I texted Sherry and asked her if I was included on the list of makeup artists to do my hair and makeup. She responded to me that I told her months ago that I would have my hair lady do my hair and makeup. Honestly, I forgot. But now, whenever I text the group chat or just her, my son is the one who responds to me. I asked her if something was wrong, and again my son responded, "Mom, please leave Sherry alone. You're being too much with your comments, and you're being difficult. We are stressed at this time." I was hurt and shared this with my friend, who told me I was an idiot to Sherry. Edit, my daughter and my daughter-in-law, even my ex-husband's current wife, also finds it off-putting how she was planning their wedding. It wasn't just me. You are the idiot. How they plan the wedding is their business, not yours. The gift registry is their business, not yours. If your son feels he's being robbed of a wedding, that's up to him to discuss, not you. And you've got no idea if he even feels this way. I suspect you've said things to either your son or Sherry that you've not disclosed in your post, and that those things do warrant this kind of reaction. Also, her superstitions? You honestly do not understand her culture? Well, now's the time to learn something and understand better. Your son is marrying into that culture. Future grandkids may be raised in and around that culture. If you want to be included in that future, now's the time to start being open-minded and learning something about your future daughter-in-law and her family, instead of sitting in a snit in the corner because there's no rehearsal dinner for you. OP sounds like the typical mom who can't ever let her son go and no one will ever be good enough. Money as a gift is also part of the reality of today. Most couples live together prior to getting married now, so they don't really need traditional wedding gifts like household items, blenders, vacuums, pots and pans. In this economy especially, couples are opting for cash for honeymoons, big purchases, furniture, etc., and for their savings. I'm not sure why people have such a problem with it, especially when it's easy for a guest to just give cash than it is to figure out a gift or deal with a massive registry. OP, you are the idiot big time. You need to seriously check your bias. You also need to back off your daughter-in-law and apologize. I'm 33 and have 2 kids, tween and pre-tween. I divorced their dad when I discovered he was cheating on me with a mom from our younger son's school group. Despite that betrayal, I agreed to share custody because I wanted my kids to grow up with their father in their lives. However, since the divorce, he's only been around when picking them up for visits. He often goes out with his stepchildren, but rarely includes our kids, claiming those outings are spur of the moment and can't always include them. Eventually, I stopped pushing, but I've always thought it was unfair that he keeps his distance from our children's lives. Recently, I decided to upgrade my older son's computer, and he asked if we could give his old one to his cousin, my brother's son. My brother has been a huge support for my kids. He's always available to take them to their school events when I can't and often takes them out to the park for trips when I'm busy. My ex, on the other hand, is rarely available for them. Whenever I ask him to help with an activity, he has an excuse, he's out of town or busy with work. Ironically though, whenever his stepkids need something, he's there. Once, he even argued with the stepkid's father at a school event, insisting he had the right to be there. When my ex found out I gave the computer to my nephew, he got angry. He complained that if I'd had money to spare on a gift like that, I should have forgiven 2 months of child support he'd missed since his finances were tight with a new baby. He added that if I could give away a computer, I should have gifted it to his kids or stepkids, who share just one computer among the 3 of them. I told him my finances were none of his business and that I owed nothing to his stepchildren. Then his wife jumped into the conversation, accusing me of spoiling my son by giving him a new computer and being petty for letting him bring it to their house, claiming it was just to show off in front of his step-siblings. I told her she had no right to speak to me that way or question my decisions. I added that I allow my kids to see their father so they can grow up with him in their lives, not so she can interfere with how I parent. My ex was offended, but I told him this whole situation could have been avoided if his wife hadn't inserted herself where she didn't belong. After that, things seemed to calm down until last week. I went to pick up the kids and my ex was visibly upset. He explained that he tried reading a bedtime story to our youngest. At home, he still likes to be read to before bed, usually by me, his brother, or my brother, and when none of us are around, he listens to audiobooks. My ex wanted to make an effort to connect, so he offered to read to him, but our son turned him down, saying he didn't need him for that because he could do it himself. My ex stayed to listen as he searched for a story for pre-tween-year-olds without a dad on his tablet, and it hit him hard. The next day, my ex offered to take our older son to basketball practice, but he replied that he'd be going with his dad. He quickly corrected himself and said, "Uncle." That made my ex even angrier, and when I came to pick up the kids, he confronted me about it. I told him that if our kids feel like they don't have a father, he only has himself to blame. He tried to shift the blame onto me, saying I was pushing him away from his role. I told him it was up to him to show up for his kids, not something I could do for him. I reminded him he was the one who broke our family, and he chose to be more involved with his stepkids than with his own children. I told him not to kid himself. The kids are growing up, and they're starting to see the reality of who he is as a father. If he keeps this up, he can't expect much from them in the future. After that exchange, his mom called me. While she's always been polite to me, I felt the need to say I would have appreciated this same concern from her when she supported her son's affair, knowing her grandchildren were losing their father in the process. She hung up, and we haven't spoken since. My brother advised me that I have every right to express how I felt, but he suggested that maybe this discussion shouldn't have happened in front of the kids. Later, my ex texted me saying that if I weren't so difficult, he'd spend more time with them. I told him his duty as a father doesn't depend on whether I'm easy or not, and he knows I've never prevented him from seeing the kids. The truth is, when he has to choose, he prefers outings with his stepkids over his own children, and that's something only he can change. Am I the idiot for telling my ex-husband that our kids are justified in feeling they don't have a father? If his wife hadn't inserted herself where she doesn't belong, Or if he hadn't inserted himself where he didn't belong. Not the idiot. You hit the nail on the head. Your ex loves his stepkids more than the kids he shares with you. He knows it, you know it, and your kids know it. He can't expect to swoop in for the fun moments and magically get the same love and trust your brother's built by being there. His comment about spending more time with them if you were easier is just an excuse to dodge responsibility and shift blame. My ex stayed to listen as he searched for a story for pre-tween-year-olds without a dad on his tablet. Your kid is ruthless. Good for him. But you can only do so much, OP, and don't let him off the hook for any child support. The fact that it's stretching his budget is a problem for him, not a problem for you. And I agree with your brother that that conversation should not have happened in front of the kids. But if I understand correctly, your ex chose the time and place, not giving you much choice in the matter. I love how if she had extra money, she could forgive child support, but him already knowing money was tight wasn't a reason not to have another kid. LOL, your ex found out and found out again. He's a grown man who makes no effort to see his kids after breaking up his own marriage. He's just reaping what he sowed. Frankly, you're a heck of a lot nicer than me. People make their choices and then cry when there are consequences. I have zero sympathy for them.